that takes us to the discussion portion of our agenda. We have our monthly financial statement, so we're reporting out through the month of August for our current fiscal year, and of course our cast back to look through August of last year. We are 17% of the way through the fiscal year through the end of August, and just 4% the way through the school year at that point. That school year percentage is really based on our teachers' 26 pay. So there was the last pay in August, the 31st, so that's why you see the 4%. But on trend, if you look year over year, we're about where we were at last year and the current year. You'll see on the state revenue side that we haven't recorded any state revenue. The July and August payments go back to the prior fiscal year, so there isn't any new state revenue come in. And the revenue that we deferred from the end of last year, the unspent monies, we haven't recorded yet, so that's why you see that as a zero still. And federal is at a reimbursement basis, so that we wouldn't start requesting those funds really until the school year started, when the activity started, and now we're not quite sure where that's at anyway, so stay tuned for that. But pretty normal what we would see through the end of August.
Question, because of later reimbursement, do we have a day's cash on hand number you'd like to have? Could we go 3 months cash on hand and pay?
We don't get a ton of federal money anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, in the ESSER days,
Sure.
it would have been more problematic.
Okay.
The bulk of our federal funds is related to, well, we've got food service. There's that. On the food service side, they have a fund balance that could probably cover for just a little bit. On the general fund side, it's really probably more our IIIA for our special education services is the larger share of it. We have a little bit in Title I, so we have some parapros who are in the classrooms helping students out that way. So we would have a little bit to be able to cover that.
Okay.
We look at when you see cash disbursements every month and we take that to the board, that would include all of that.
Yeah.
That's everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Both of those programs are forward funded too, so there's not money being held back. They're being, correct?
What's forward funded?
Well, that it was already approved by Congress, so it was already money that will still be allocated for those respective programs.
Through September, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, well then that takes us to our bond construction update. So I am happy to introduce Yvonne from Tower Pinkster. Let me get us teed up right here.
Okay.
We're excited to share with you Ada Elementary. My super long password.
Wonderful. Well, good morning. Just as a reminder, as you know, this is like our 6th elementary school with you guys, so lots of fun has been had, and a lot of you toured the other buildings that we've been doing. You know, some of the big key points that we try to do every building that we do is enhance safety, which is adding fire suppression, and then as Tom likes to say, the wand chooses the wizard. The wand chooses the wizard.
I stole it from Harry Potter.
I know, Harry Potter. But we try to select items, working with your principals at the school for items that need to be improved and enhanced. So in this one, we needed better line of sights and entries into the office. So again, they had a little bit of a challenge at the office area. And then really we're doing a heavy to moderate renovation within the classrooms, full finish refresh, including ceilings and lighting. Really getting our learning visible, again, trying to get comfort, making mechanical updates as we need, and obviously trying to just get equity across the district for those learning environments. So the areas in the bubbles are kind of the areas that have the highest level of renovation, so that means we're moving some walls, we're adjusting some physical building construction that is a little more extensive than a specific classroom. So again, kind of the office area, we're updating and enhancing the ECFC kind of resource sensory areas, and then we need a little more group room space, so that's some of that additional space up in what is actually the third and fourth grade wing, and then again getting group space back towards the kindergarten wing. So everything gets touched, but those are the biggest enhancements throughout the building. So then the office area is one of our bigger areas of renovation because we are adjusting where the offices are at so that we can get that reception area kind of up and centered in the office area so that they can see directly into the vestibule and directly out of just outside of the front door when folks are coming up to that door. Right now they're kind of tucked away and can't see that, and they use technology to see the person entering, which is just not the best. But we're hoping to kind of increase flow of all of that, make it a little more efficient. And again, as you can see, they get a little bit of a aesthetic update too. So, and then typically in all of our classrooms, our preschool and kindergarten get cubbies in the classroom, and that's been kind of an initiative we've been doing through all of the elementary schools. And then casework is getting replaced as needed. It's not everywhere, but as we felt it needed the most love and care, we've been replacing as needed, and the finishes all get updated throughout the building as well. So then this is the kindergarten room. Again, similar idea. It's nice in this one because you had some casework replacement. Only now it's been a while ago, but we can still match some of that so it looks very consistent, which again, just aesthetically is nice throughout the building. And then our second and first grade wings, that area doesn't have a lot to do in those rooms, so we're gonna just kind of expand the entry into the classrooms and again do a finish refresh. They don't actually need much else in those rooms. So again, when we go through these, we always try to evaluate, teaching walls and making sure your whiteboards and marker boards are acceptable, and we're not leaving something there that doesn't make sense in the future as you go forward. And the ECSE rooms, the big push was to get a larger toilet room in each of those rooms so that we could have a little changing area in those spots with the kiddos that are part of that program. So we're both getting cubbies in those rooms as well as expanding the toilet rooms for those specific classrooms for this area. And then again, third grade and Spanish are a little bit smaller renovations. We do remove the toilet rooms that are within the third and fourth grade areas based upon our past projects and having consistency. So that gives a little bit more space into the classroom for those educators to use. So we just push around the casework a little bit in those rooms. And again, they just get a little bit more open floor plate. And then same thing with fourth grade, toilet rooms get removed, so we just adjust casework as needed around the perimeter of the room and gives them a little bit more space back in the classroom. And then really the fun part, of course, is looking at what the general corridor condition ends up being as you walk into the space, right? Because we are giving it quite the facelift. This will probably feel a lot like Thornapple on some level. We were working with your principal over there, and she really liked the idea of bringing nature into the school. So we wanted to kind of lean into that a little bit. You'll still have lockers in the corridors, but we're going to bring in some wood elements and some a lot of greens, as you can see, kind of trying to warm it up and make it feel very welcoming. So this is the corridor outside of the office area. The right side will be the cafeteria. So again, we'll be expanding and adding some glass into the cafeteria, both inside and outside of the cafeteria, so that you get some daylight into the room, as well as just sharing some daylight. And then again, another classroom corridor. So very similar aesthetic. And then multi-purpose areas. Again, they've stayed in kind. We've just kind of edited a few things along the way to, again, get daylight into it. We've added some windows on the exterior facade, and then we've added some windows on the interior wall as well. So again, it's very similar to the other schools that we've already done. And little bonus is we're going to get back. We're trying to always have an aftercare office off of those rooms. So we're dividing the existing mechanical room, which is very large, and she sits in there today. So we're going to give her a separate space over there. And then that's kind of the update of the multi-purpose room. So again, kind of amplifying some simple elements, giving it some unique ceiling elements, but overall keeping it a fairly finished, simple palette. And then last but not least, the corridor outside of the media center. So we are going to try to give just a couple of those alcove reading spots that we've done in some of the other schools that's outside of the media center. And then the media center itself will just get a little bit of a finish update in, as well as lighting. So, a little bit of ceiling element, a little bit of interest with, the finishes themselves, but, again, just kind of getting in the face. That's a quick version of Ada.
It's been fun designing with Melanie and her team. We meet directly with her, and then she is going back and having conversations with her staff about, hey, what about this and that? And and we're hearing that direct feedback as a result of those changes we saw in the SE wing in particular, trying to make spaces better for those teams. So it's been a lot of fun.
Julie, if I can just interrupt, one of the things that's really been great too are the building principals going back to the other buildings and saying, what worked for us here? So there's a lot of collaboration that goes on, and one of the consistents is how communicative your teams have been, and they just appreciate all the, they've got it dialed in, so things are going really well, and they're constantly learning, and I'd say the team adjusts to the things that we're learning, so it's just been a really great relationship.